It is a pattern of the Xi regime to intensify their military drills and be in a menacing and threatening way across the narrow Taiwan Strait whenever there appears to be progress towards supporting democracy on the island. Here we have the inauguration of a new democratically elected leader of Taiwan. Chairman Mike McCall of the Foreign Affairs Committee is leading our delegation to that inauguration. But you saw this same kind of behavior when Nancy Pelosi visited the island. When Chairman McCall and I were on the island last April,
yes,
we had the exact same greeting.
They want to remind you that they could do a blockade in about 5 minutes if they wanted to.
They do, but look, I think fundamentally, Taiwan is a great democratic, economic, free market success story. They're big investors in China. The people of Taiwan want the status quo. They want to maintain their democracy, free and open navigation of the Taiwan Strait. They don't want to be, by warfare or force or coercion, compelled to join the communist regime in Beijing. Xi knows this, but this is how he tries to pull the string of his longstanding policy. Our policy here in the United States was founded back in 1979, where we committed that while we recognize China and Beijing as the capital of China formally, that we would maintain our economic policy and our defense policy of the people of Taiwan and let them build their democracy. And by golly, over the last 40 years, have they been successful in doing that?
And that's something. Would you go back to Taiwan knowing all of this?
I would. I think it's a magnificent, generous, innovative, amazing.
Even if it sparked more drills for them to deal with after you left.
Well, look, I think they want America, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Vietnam, regional players supporting them in their interest to pursue freedom, but status quo, not independence of China. Just let's keep the status quo, which allows our system to thrive. But the fear on the island is China turned their back on Hong Kong. Yeah. They broke their word to the United Kingdom and the people of Hong Kong, and that's what's caused tensions in the region to remain high.
The UN's top court, the International Court of Justice, am I saying it right? I don't think most people have ever heard of this before, to be honest with you, while it is, of course, very real. The International Court of Justice says that Israel needs to pull military operations from Rafah now, and this came as part of a complaint by South Africa that alleged genocide in Gaza. We've got a new temporary pier that we just spent a lot of money on that doesn't seem to be bringing much aid into Gaza. What needs to happen?
I think we need to stand with Israel and let Israel use their best judgment on clearing the Hamas terror group out of Gaza.
Are they still in Rafah? Do we know?
There are elements still in Rafah. They still are in a position to attack. We have more dead bodies of hostages announced today. This is a terrible situation. And remember that Israel has suffered an attack on the scale larger than our attack of 9/11, from their point of view, by a terror group backed by and financed by Iran, an enemy of the United States. So I think we should stand by our ally and let them take the actions that they need to take to defend their own
You don't
soil.
believe it's genocide, obviously.
I don't. And I think that the international court in this instance is wrong. We're not a party to that treaty, so we don't even think highly enough of that organization to be a subscriber to it. And I think what we ought to recognize is that we don't want this conflict to get broader. We need humanitarian aid there, and we need to recognize that Hamas is a political organization and a terror group backed by their allies like those in Turkey and Tehran have facilitated this kind of behavior through their financing and their tolerance of it. And for 20 years, Hamas has controlled Gaza. A lot of Americans don't know this. The Israeli government, the West Bank government, Fatah, Mahmoud Abbas, Americans, the Egyptians, they allowed Hamas. They won an election in 2006. They've had complete control of Gaza. Are the people better off under Gaza? What about the billions of dollars from the United Nations and donor countries? Do you see better schools? Do you see better nutrition? Do you see better jobs under the Hamas leadership? So,
should Benjamin Netanyahu come here to speak to a joint session of Congress, because the speaker is reportedly on the verge of inviting him?
I think he should. I think an ally of the United States under attack by a group of people that we recognize as a global terror organization backed by the #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran, deserves to be heard in the United States.
What if Chuck Schumer says no? Does he come speak to the House alone?
I would think...
that would be quite a bit of optics.
I don't think that that's the way it would work. I believe that the majority leader would think long and hard about that.
What are you planning? You're probably not allowed to answer this for your next trip abroad. You've been conducting some pretty heady codels, including one recently to Syria. What's next on the list?
Well, I'm still concerned about countering the Assad regime and turning a terror state like Syria into a regional drug proliferation state in narco-terrorism that is poisoning young people across the Gulf and into Europe. So that's certainly something I'll remain committed to working on.